nhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
The Todd Alba Show.
UW Systems spends $51 million of our taxpayer money for consultants. 3 times the budget shortfall that triggered the Oshkosh layoffs in 2023. Why is there such silence from Democrats in the state capitol on this? Ask people in Richland Center, Waukesha, Washington County, if they got their $51 million worth for the UW system.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Dom Selvia.
Next time, we'll review the strikes and gutters, the ups and downs, and the good and bad of 2024. Plus, how much use are those New Year's resolutions worth anyway?
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
And now, a guy who writes checks his mouth can't cash, Pete Schwaba.
Let's do it. It's on, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening. It is the eve of New Year's Eve. How do you like that? Conrad, good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
You told me, I'm not going to repeat exactly what you said, but you were pretty bored Friday night. That's why you texted the show on your night off?
Yeah, it was, but it was a great question. And
this is an action movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we haven't talked that much about action films.
Correct.
So I thought it was an interesting talk. Yeah, and definitely mine was The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, that was a good one. I kind of forgot about that one. It's like one of those.
It feels under the radar still, but it isn't kind of. You know what I mean?
Wasn't the guy that was accused of cannibalism the star of that movie, Armie Hammer? He's the one that said he wanted to eat his girlfriend or something like that.
Well,
that'll get you canceled.
We don't talk about that,
Yeah. We don't talk about cannibalism enough on this show, to be honest. Hey, welcome to Nightlight, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you with me. We are celebrating New Year's Eve on the eve of New Year's Eve. This is our last full show. We will be off tomorrow night and New Year's Day and back on January 2nd and 3rd. Fun shows this week. We've got a great show tonight. 2 very funny guests. John Egan, Appleton-based comedian, who I just met recently, is coming into the studio at 6:35. And a very kind of a Chicago comedy staple, Bill Gorgo, will be here. Bill is one of the Chicago Comedy All-Stars who will be celebrating here in Wisconsin tomorrow night in Port Washington. We'll talk to Bill about that show. I think you can still get tickets for that. Bill will be on the show with Jimmy McHugh and a couple of other comedians as they ring in the new year in Port Washington. You could do a lot worse than Port Washington. That's a great town. Right on the lake. Just a beautiful city. Only 30 miles from Milwaukee. I think you could, that's as good a place as any to ring in the new year. So we'll have John and Bill, 2 comedians on tonight. That'll be fun. You know what? I think we should jump into this, Conrad, because I'm really hoping we engage people. And I hope, if you're listening, I hope you guys take part in our question of the night, which we will let you know right now.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Questions.
What is your New Year's resolution? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You've still got a day or two, but we're going to ask you ahead of time. If you want to try one out, that's fine. Let us know what your New Year's resolution is at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. We will be reading your answers on the radio as we do. We love to ask questions, and we love when listeners respond. So let us know on the text line or on the app. That's very easy to use, too. Just click the little text icon. And if you happen to be watching the radio, Conrad will tell you how to reach out to us there, too.
Yeah, so you can comment. We're on Facebook, Nightlight with Pete Schwaba, WISS and WGBW. On YouTube, Civic Media or WGBW. And on Twitter, Civic Media, WGBW.
Do you have a New Year's Eve or New Year's resolution?
The New Year's Eve resolution is, I haven't thought about it too much.
You got time.
But I would say it's just, it's the same thing every year for me. I feel like
Get
it's
in
just,
shape, eat better. That's what everybody's
just-
is, right?
just taking care of myself,
Yeah.
really getting into health.
I'm going to be even more specific because my New Year's resolution is right along the same lines as yours. But I'm going to say, I'm just going to give up processed sugar. I don't want processed sugar. And I feel like even if I skip a workout or if I don't get cardio that day, more importantly, if I'm not taking in processed sugar, I feel like that's even bigger because that's, as you get older, the working out is important, but it matters less than what you eat. So that's it for me this year. I'm really committed to giving up processed sugar.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let us know what you guys are thinking. Let's all do this together. Let's be each other's sponsor. Let's lean on each other, and let's depend on each other. What is your New Year's resolution? It could be something you want to do too. It doesn't have to be something you'll give up. Like I would like to be nicer to people. I say that every year too. I think I'm a fairly decent person, but we all have our moments where we get crabby or embezzle money or knock off a bank. Those things happen.
I was going to say, how fast does that resolution go out the door?
Boy, I think I want to say like January 13th is something like National Throw in the Towel on Your New Year. Like they don't even last 2 weeks, So that's kind of crazy.
I remember last year on I think a couple days after New Year's, we listened to that clip. From what show is it? When is it too late to say Happy New Year's?
Stop saying Happy New Year.
Yeah. It's like 3 days. Then after that, you can't say it anymore.
You can't say it anymore. And then a week after that, everybody gives up their New Year's resolution. Nothing changes and life goes back to normal. I would like, if I could ask the fine citizens of Green Bay, because we broadcast from downtown Green Bay, not to drive by and rev their engines.
There we go.
And fix your damn mufflers. My goodness. You know what I hear? Every time I hear someone gun it to make their muffler as loud as possible, all I hear is compensating. It's terrible.
Yeah.
That would be my resolution to others. Conrad found this great story about a couple that got married. Tell us their names, Conrad.
Well, we'll go back to just say Burger King pretty much.
Yeah. Illinois Burger King wedding may be first sponsored by the fast food chain. Speaking of giving up crappy food, Ashley King and Joel Berger tied the knot on Burger King's dime in Illinois. You know what? When I read this article, they've been dating or they've known each other since kindergarten.
Yeah,
and I mean this is brilliant. I can't imagine this is the first wedding sponsored by fast food. And what did it cost? What does it cost Burger King? 20 grand?
Yeah,
and for free advertising, and it's a feel-good story, and it's great. And pretty attractive looking wedding party, I have to say. Pleasantly surprised that a fast food chain is sponsoring a wedding and the people are attractive. Lots of bridesmaids and groomsmen, and they're all wearing paper hats or the crown.
Yeah, the crown. And then if you look at one of the pictures, if you remove the shirt or the dress shirt, under it is a Burger King.
A cufflink. Yeah. That's awesome. They had Burger King napkins at the table. And the only downside that I can see is when they walked down the aisle, instead of Here Comes the Bride, they played Whopper, 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 which would make everybody want to blow their own brains out.
Yes.
That they have a new song. I when I was watching football this weekend, it was like, it's something like Melt Whopper. Like whoever is writing the jingles completely mailed it in.
They just like, all right, how can we make this annoying as possible for everyone viewing football?
Yeah.
And they play it every break.
Every single break. So that's a good story, though. Their last name, if they go with hyphen, will be King. Well, King Burger.
What do you think a good kid's name would be?
Junior Whopper. Junior? You could call him Junior.
Junior Burger King.
Charbroiled. Come here, Charbroiled.
Melt.
Melt. That's what it was. That was the annoying lyric. But I guess their last name kind of has to be Burger -King.
They have to do it.
Why wouldn't you?
Unless they mess it up and accidentally do King/Burger.
I don't know, though. I would like confirmation if Burger King had an open bar for the couple or if it was a cash bar. I don't know.
They did like drinks themed from Burger King.
It doesn't really say in the article if they serve like Burger King food.
Yeah.
That would maybe a deal breaker because I would wear the crown to get the free wedding. I'm not serving,
Whoppers
nacho
for
fries
everyone.
and I couldn't do that. That would be too terrible. This is the greatest time of year, folks, because to me, like I took a few days off last week. Both the kids are home. We've been watching movies nonstop, and that to me is and I felt a little guilty about it because it's been nice out. So I felt like I should have probably taken more walks. But we watched movies. We watched 28 Days, and 28 days later, 28 weeks later, because 28 years later is coming out in June. We decided to have a little zombie fest. So that was fun. I also watched The Order with Jude Law. Paid the $20, Conrad. I went all out.
Well, look at you.
And it was worth it. It was a really good movie.
Okay.
Very solid filmmaking. It was a period piece, took place in the 80s about a white supremacist group that knocked off banks to finance their terror operations, and Jude Law was the FBI agent on their tail. Fun movie, good movie. Not a fun movie, I would say, but a really well-done movie. And then I watched Conclave, too, which I enjoyed, about selecting the Pope, which I'm told is, pretty accurate. It was... It's weird because it's one of those movies I thought, Catholics are going to hate this. And I was raised Catholic. I have 16 years of Catholic education, but it sounded like it was going to be kind of a anti-Catholic thing, but it's not. It's really just about how they select the Pope. And some of the popes are like, or wannabe popes are like seriously, jockeying for the position and they want it desperately. Other guys don't want it. It was pretty fascinating. It was a bit of a mystery too. So I really enjoyed it. And great actors, John Lithgow, Ray Fiennes, who I still call Ralph, Stanley Tucci, who I love, Isabella Rossellini, who I love. Great cast. I recommend Conclave. I enjoyed it. And what else have I been watching? I started Landman.
I haven't heard of that.
That's a Taylor Sheridan. It's kind of like in the mold of Yellowstone. Billy Bob Thornton and John Hamm. You kind of know what you're going to get. Taylor Sheridan is sort of bringing his own brand to... Like there's swearing, there's womanizing, there's oil men talking macho. It's kind of like Yellowstone. And I haven't turned this one off yet. I quit Yellowstone like probably early season 3. But this one I'll stick with a little bit. I want to see where it's going. And Demi Moore, plays John Hamm's wife. And I'm on like episode 4 and she's had 2 short scenes. So I figured she's going to get more involved as the story goes on, as will John Hamm. I don't know. Are you watching Landman? Let me know. Shoot us a text. What did you say you were watching? You saw... Oh,
no, because you put on the list Man on the Inside. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if did you watch it all?
Just the pilot.
What did you think about the pilot?
I like the pilot. I'll go back to it.
I finished the whole thing.
Wow.
Loved it. I hope they make a season 2.
Oh, fantastic. How many episodes are there?
I believe there's 6.
Oh, that's
no, there might be I can't remember. But I recommend watching it all.
I'll finish it. I liked it. I love Ted Danson. He hasn't had very much success in TV, so I'd like to help out. All right, so John Egan will be here, Appleton-based comedian at 6:35, Bill Gorgo at 7:20. Our question of the night, what is your New Year's resolution? Share it with us, folks. Be part of the show. We love it. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Todd Alba Show.
What's going on in Washington today as we move into 2025? Have your antenna up. Don't rely on all the media sources. Just your own wisdom, your own heart, your own gut. Listen to what they're saying about our friends and neighbors and family, because we innately know these people that we live with every day in our communities. Don't allow words and thoughts to tear us apart. Hold fast to that which we know which is good.
The Todd Alba Show, weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Mino and the Mayor.
You ever really want to get back at me?
Well, you're claustrophobic. That would really...
Oh, God.
Oh, that would be tough for you.
The worst.
You would talk like that.
Like that. Absolutely.
Get this. Put him in a drum and throw him in the water. He's claustrophobic and he can't swim.
Yeah.
I think we could get anything we wanted out of you.
Anything.
All right, Todd, mental note.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday mornings 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 WISS. And on the Civic Media app.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at Civic.
Has a birthday today. Love Tracy Ullman. I love that song. Tracy Ullman had a show on Fox in 1988, and that was where The Simpsons premiered. They showed little quick animated clips of The Simpsons, which went on to become The Simpsons. So we have Tracy Ullman to thank for that. She turns 65 today. Conrad, every once in a while we see an influencer, I guess you'd say. So who has a birthday that I've never heard of. We had Little Poo Poo or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
Little Poopy.
Little Poopy, yeah.
And then we had I Has Cupquake. I don't know what that meant. I have no idea. But today, YouTuber Meat Canyon.
I actually love that guy's stuff.
You know this guy?
He does like all cartoons, but he makes it really comedic and it's so funny.
Oh, that's great.
If you actually have a chance to just sit down and watch one of his videos, you should.
What is it? I'm sure it's something sexual that I haven't heard. If you really use your imagination, Meat Canyon can mean a lot of different things. But what do you know what he's going for there?
So he said it in a podcast once.
Okay.
And I totally forgot, but it has something to do with him actually.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's anything sexual or anything.
I've seen him. I hope not. At least that's not where my mind goes.
But yeah, he has some great videos. I enjoy his stuff.
Fair enough. Happy birthday, Meat Canyon. Hey, we have some fun stuff happening here on Civic Media. Tomorrow night, as I mentioned, we'll be off. We put together an hour, kind of a special hour of me on other Civic Media shows with your favorite hosts, Jane Matnair, Greg Bach, Mino and the Mayor. Who else do we have? Todd?
Well, it was actually...
Todd Alba?
Yeah, it was just...
or just those two?
Yeah, just those two. Matnair and Air and Mino and the Mayor.
So that'll be fun. That'll kick off. Then Lou comes on at 7 o'clock to kick off his New Year's Eve extravaganza, which Lou is just awesome. That will be a lot of fun. And then on New Year's Day, here at Nightlight, we have a best of show we put together, and it's one of our favorite guests, Terry Barr, who does Bar Band Friday night every Friday here at Nightlight. We cut together some of our favorite bands and interviews with Terry. She brings new music every week, and it's just great. So we put a best of. That's a great way to ring in the new year with 2 hours of Bar Band Friday night. So that is coming up on Wednesday night, and then we will be back live on January 2nd. So checking the text line, Sherry says, "Good evening, Pete and Conrad." Good evening, Sherry from Horicon. Great to have you with us tonight, Sherry, on the eve of New Year's Eve. Sherry says, "Try to say something nice about the other political party," in Sherry's case, that's Republicans, "to my totally Trumper son." Okay, well, we got to build bridges, Sherry. It's not always easy, but I appreciate you. Obviously, the loved ones take precedence. You have to find a way to coexist. I think a lot of families deal with that, different political opinions in families. You got to get past it. So I applaud you, Sherry, for making that your priority this year, and good luck with your resolution. From the 608, "Hey, Pete, my New Year's resolution is to be less apathetic, trying to look at others' POV, point of view, and find healthy resolutions to problems. This shouldn't be a New Year's thing, but it's a good excuse to just be better. Good luck, and thanks for the fun show." Thank you, AJ. And good luck with being less apathetic. That whenever I hear the word apathetic or apathy, I always start to laugh because I feel like there's a joke coming. But that text was not apathetic. Like, AJ put a lot into that text. So thank you, AJ. I hope you find ways to care and motivate yourself to be less apathetic. That's so important and something I think we all struggle with. Anna from Madison says, hi, Pete and Conrad. My New Year's resolution is to walk more. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Anna, and good luck with that. I might start mall walking again.
I used to work at a mall.
Really?
And I'd see them. They get there before I would for work.
Yeah.
They'd be walking every day and the same people.
And good for them. Like, I used to laugh. I'm like, mall walking? Pfft, whatever. Yeah, that's a workout. And then when we moved here from a warm weather climate, I found myself mall walking, and I was only like 40. I'm like, I'm mall walking, and I felt like an athlete. I would just be passing people like crazy. You know, on your left, on your left.
See, if I did that, I think I'd stop at the coffee shops, though, and just get the coffees there every morning.
That's okay. You become like the popular guy at the mall. Monica from Mount Horeb says, I find when I make negative comments about someone, the conversation just spirals into a lengthy session about that and other grievances. So I'm going to attempt to make negative comments. I'm going to attempt not to make negative comments about anyone. Following the, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all advice. Boy, good luck with that, Monica. I think we should all do that. I know I've tried, and then I go off on a rant once in a while, and I feel bad, or I'll do it in front of my kids. Feel bad, so I wish you luck. Bill from Green Bay says, hey, Pete, did you see Conclave in the theater, or what streaming service is it on? Bill, Conclave is on Peacock, and it's interesting you say that. My mom saw it and liked it too, but she says she wished she saw it on the big screen. And I don't really understand that because it's not like a crazy cinematic movie. I think maybe she just wanted the feel of the big screen, but I liked it. I just saw it on my 50-inch TV and thought it was really good. So check it out, Bill, if that's your type of movie. Anna from Madison says, Conrad, your fast food wedding story reminds me that a Taco Bell in Vegas has a wedding chapel on the second floor. People can have a Taco Bell wedding. You don't want a wedding, though, that like makes you run to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Your wedding night or during your honeymoon. What's the matter? Well, you had Taco Bell. We got married at a Taco Bell.
The whole wedding party.
Terrible. Nachos Bel Grande is the main course. Bridget says, she's in the 818. She says, have more experiences. Instead of social media or TV or work, I want to do more. Pickleball, see a play or a concert. See, that's a great one because that's not just giving something up. That's like trying to be more active and actively doing stuff. Love it, Bridget. Thank you. Susan from McFarland says, Pete and Conrad, your show and movie picks. I don't make love your show and movie picks. I don't make resolutions, though. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Susan. You know what? If you don't make resolutions, you won't be disappointed. So Susan she can't consider herself a quitter if she doesn't even try. That's what I'm taking away from that, Susan. We have a lot to learn from you. Thank you very much. God, I had so much to say. We ran out of time. Keep those texts coming, folks. We'll read them throughout the course of the show. What is your New Year's resolution? We're kicking off New Year's Eve on the eve of New Year's Eve here at Night Light, and I want to hear from you. What is your New Year's resolution? 855-752-4842. Or text us on the app. That's always fun, and it's however you get a hold of us, just get a hold of us. Appleton-based comedian John Egan coming up after Civic Media's news team keeps you informed and tells you what you need to know. And then we've got comedian Bill Gorgo at 7:20. Lots of laughs tonight on Night Light. Great to have you with me on the eve of New Year's Eve. This is Pete Schwaba and Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
To the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. A Wisconsin Watch report says the cost of jailing children is about to jump. Here's Stuart J. Waddles.
It's reported the cost of incarcerating a juvenile at Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake has ballooned to nearly $463,000 a year. It'll be nearly twice as much in 2 years, and that's despite a declining population of youth. Leaders in the state have been trying to close the facility due to ongoing funding and policy issues. Alternative plans to build smaller regional facilities have been slow to move along.
Tomorrow night, we'll be busy with parties and other celebrations, and law enforcement authorities are urging residents to avoid getting behind the wheel while intoxicated. If you do plan to participate in the festivities, you should plan ahead to make sure you have reliable transportation. Authorities will also be conducting their Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign through the end of the year. Aaron's Nordic Center in Brillion, known for its cross-country skiing trails, biathlon events, and training facilities, will host the 2025 World Snowshoe Championships, the U.S. Snowshoe Championships, and the Open Championships, starting February 27th through March 2nd. Did you hear about this? Yesterday was the first ever tug-of-war between the Packers and Vikings fans. They met in Stillwater on a bridge, so they were right on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Fans from each team pulled on a 300-pound rope. People had to pay to participate, and 60% of the proceeds went to the first responders in the winning state. Organizers say they raised about $4,000. Now, while the Packers couldn't pull off a win yesterday on the field, their fans did. The Wisconsin side won 3 out of 5 times. They're hoping to make this a yearly tradition. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Batman fans eagerly awaiting the second installment of the new franchise will have to tap the brakes. Variety reports that the Matt Reeves-directed Batman 2 has been delayed a year and will now hit theaters in 2027. The film was originally slated for an IMAX release that would hit theaters October 2nd of 2026. Warner Brothers has announced that taking those screens will be a new Tom Cruise film that they are hoping to get on the big screen to qualify for the 2026 Oscar season. Here's one of Pete's picks. The Order, starring Jude Law as an FBI agent tracking a white supremacist group, is a really solid watch. Based on a true story from the 1980s, Law tracks the gang as they rob banks and set bombs off, terrorizing the Pacific Northwest. The film has good action and is a great detective story. The Order also stars Nicholas Hoult as the leader of the criminal group, Ty Sheridan as a local sheriff's deputy, and Journey Smollett as an FBI agent. The film has been a hit with critics and audiences alike. Strongly recommend. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight, areas of fog and lows in the upper 20s. And staying mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high in the mid-30s. A little bit of sunshine on New Year's Day, high in the mid-20s. And around 20 to the low 20s with more sun Thursday and Friday.
It's 39 right now.
Hi, I'm Michael Friedman, CEO of Simple Life Hospitality. Let us take the hassle out of vacation rental property management. We'll maximize your earnings and handle every detail from cleaning to maintenance and repairs. For guests, enjoy a stay that feels like home with hand-selected properties, personal touches like local recommendations, and extras like concierge service that will make your trip unforgettable. Whether you're a homeowner or a traveler, experience the Simple Life. Visit simpleliferentals.com.
The Dom Salvia Show.
How about this one? Harvey K., a Delano Democrat.
The problem with that is that was his mother's family name. You might not realize that he had a father too.
Come on, man.
Subscribe to my arguments and you can call a Dom Democrat.
All right, I'll take a Dom Democrat. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a big favorite here on this show.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app.
On Tuesday's show, we'll help you get ready for 2025. I talked about New Year's resolution.
Let us know. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Text us on the app. Let us know if you're watching on the stream. There are many ways to get a hold of us, so please be part of the show. Always more fun. Comedian Bill Gorgo is here at 7:20. He's one of the Chicago Comedy All-Stars who will be performing in Port Washington tomorrow night. So if you're still looking for something to do on New Year's Eve, I believe there are still tickets available. We'll talk to Bill about that show. Right now, it is my pleasure to welcome a gentleman who has not been on the show before, but I've heard a lot about this guy. Very excited to have him here in studio, one of Wisconsin's own. And I said Appleton-based comedian before I was wrong. He's a De Pere or Green Bay-based comedian. John Egan joins me here in the studio. Hey, John.
Hello, sir.
Great to meet you.
You too.
So, how are you? What did you find the place okay?
Yeah, no,
All right.
because I went to college here in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I've not seen this studio before. I'm not sure why. I'm
Kinda
always
new.
here. It seems newer. So like it was just different because we actually used to do next door. There's not Hinterland. What is it? Hagermeister. We actually used to do shows there.
Oh,
forever ago.
I actually used to do shows at the Haberdasher.
Okay.
Right before Hagermeister.
Yeah.
Crowds are terrible, and they would all be in the changing rooms. But that's cool. Hagermeister's a good place. They have great music there sometimes. And do they still do comedy there?
No, we haven't done one for a very long time. But it was like ownership management changes. But it was fun. It was a good time.
So I thought you were from Appleton, but Northeast Wisconsin. You know, I'm sure you work all the clubs. I worked years ago, Skyline in the 90s. Frank Hermans, who I assume you've heard of, he's kind of a staple here in Green Bay.
Yeah.
A great guy. He and his brother had a comedy club just down Washington here.
Yes, which was that?
It was called Docs.
Was it Docs? Okay.
And I don't think it was around. I think they both kind of moved on to other endeavors, but they were probably there 5 or 10 years. And I don't know if you've ever worked there. But other than that, I think Green Bay had a Funny Bone for a while. But do they have a full-time comedy club here right now?
Not a full-time stand-up club. No, there's Comedy City in De Pere, but that's mostly improv. But there are some stand-ups and other shows. But no, there's no full-time comedy club in Green Bay currently.
What do you make of that? It seems like there should be.
It's not sustainable. I don't.
Really?
It's not anybody's fault. It's just like the market because I help produce Don't Tell. If you don't know what that is, basically it's like a nationwide series of shows. And you sign up on the website and you get tickets and then what they do is at noon, they email you where the location is.
Oh.
So we do that once every 3 months.
That's kind of fun.
But it's like supporting local businesses that you don't know the lineup and it's all a big complete surprise. And even that, like we can't be like big cities. We can't do one every month because we don't sell out. It's just one of those things where I think like comedy for this area is one of those things. It's like if it's a big night out, but if people in this area know they can go to something whenever they want, they are less likely to do it. It's not. I don't think it's a knock. It's just how that is.
Yeah.
And you have to go around the Packer schedule, time of year, can't do summers. Like so, it's all it's like you have to figure it out.
That is so strange. Like here in Wisconsin, I remember, like even when I was a stand-up, I was Chicago-based, but I loved like my favorite club was the one in Milwaukee, the Comedy Cafe at the time.
Yeah.
And but they would all say, "Well, we're paying summer money," because they wouldn't get the crowds in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that you're dealing with that in a state that is, I think, supportive of comedy and has good comedians. You know, in the summer, people just don't want to be inside here because the summer's so short in the Midwest.
Yeah. The only thing that balances it is I've never seen a state with more like one night shows. Like I have performed in like every single small town in this state. That's the thing. Like I said, they love comedy. Like people in the state love comedy, but like it's all just random here and there. It's like a Valentine's Day show or a New Year's show or like a random Tuesday in, like where Jim Jack Links is made. Like it's something like that.
You know what I found too in Wisconsin? Wisconsinites are funny.
Yeah.
And they kind of know they're funny.
That's true.
And they're a little cocky about it.
That's true. There's always a joke.
Crowd.
Yes, there's always something.
When I would perform in Chicago, people would just come up and nod at you and say good show or whatever. Here, people they are funny. And they'll kind of let you know about it. Like I've always felt like I got in Wisconsin more than anywhere else. Like, when I'm at work, I'm really funny. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Or am I way off?
No, that does. I would say, especially after shows. Yeah, there's always the talk, bring up, tell you a joke, do something, have something to talk about. Yes, absolutely. Something to make you laugh or laugh at themselves. So they can say, oh, I was funnier than that person.
Right.
When they got home.
Or they have too much drink and think they're helping the show when they're
always
heckling and they're not. Hey. This is how I met you, I think is interesting because I do this football fundraiser in Marinette. I've been doing it since I moved back here for like 12 years now. And I book different comedians every year. And I got your name and heard nothing but great things about you from Mike Mercury, who's been on the show. I'm excited to have you do that show because that's all parents of kids that play sports, and it's a fundraiser. Usually a pretty good crowd. Johnny Beaner will be on that show. Jessica Phillips, who is from the UP, will be on that show.
All J's.
I'll open it. Yeah,
You got to change your name.
You know what? I'm a junior.
There you
So
go.
I could
Junior
go by
Jessica,
that.
John, Johnny.
Anything that could set you apart, I think. But have you noticed, like, Marinette's a small town.
Yeah.
I was looking at where you tour.
Yeah.
And you're all over Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And there are some dates outside of the state. Do you prefer to work in Wisconsin or stay close to home? Or is that just where you've had the most success?
Yeah, it's really a combination of all that. Where like I've got a younger family, and also as soon as you hit the Chicago area, you have 800 comics there
that's
who
true.
are doing the same thing. And once you hit that threshold, you can start getting to know people, obviously tribal to other clubs, but you have all those comics who make that whole area.
Yeah.
So you've got the state of Illinois into Iowa, Indiana, Michigan.
Right.
Like, so they are spread out because they want to fill their time and do their schedule. Where Wisconsin comics won't move over there. But then when you get to the border of Wisconsin, all the Minnesota comics are there. It's a very easy drive for them to take over that area too and do that. So I think it's just more of how it comes up. And, when I end up saying yes to and available to, it's mostly Wisconsin. So
I noticed, and I haven't been on that traveling circuit for years, but it's interesting how cities have a persona, so to speak. I always thought Minneapolis comics had weird hair and different points of view than Milwaukee comics or Chicago comics. Do you find that or Boston comics?
Yeah.
They're all fast talking. They got that accent, very sarcastic.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I would say, I don't really think about it, but that's true. I feel like Minnesota is more of the smart comics. The smartest comics I've ever known come from there. The smartest jokes or the different styles are the ones that make you think. Milwaukee, I would say just more alternative. It's more of an alt feel, like a grungy basement type comedy, but it's all funny. There's always a guy in a sweatshirt with a hole in it, drinking a High Life, but who had the funniest 10 minutes you've ever seen in your life. So so I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Here's what I'll say too. I felt like, and I'm going back again. I'm not trying. You're the comedian here, but I remember loving the guys the most that made me laugh off stage.
Yeah.
I loved the guys that made me laugh on stage, but the guys that were more fun to hang out with were the guys that really cracked you up off stage, and there was a ton of those in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You find that?
Well, for me, it's I want you to be funny on stage. If I want you, I really like you. I really like you, but be funny too.
Of course.
Let's do this. Make me laugh. That's the whole point. You're right. It's the hangs are always the best. Doing the extra stuff is my appeal. The overnight shows, some areas I want to go there, even if it's not the most money, because I'm nope, I'm going to have a good time there.
Yeah.
Janesville, they now have a comedy club called the Comedy Cabin, but before there, they just had shows once in a while, and I would go to Janesville whenever I could because there's something called the Tom's Food Buffet, I think it's called, or Tom's Pizza.
Okay.
Best buffet I've ever had in my life.
Oh wow!
And that's I would go to Janesville just for that. I'd be like,
just
you know
for
what?
the free food.
If I do my show Friday, I will wake up hungover Saturday, and I will have the best buffet, and I can take a nap, and then I can do the other show. That's
It's one of the perks, right?
Yeah.
Of working the
Yeah.
road. That's great. I remember there was a guy in Goshen, Indiana. There was a guy, Big Ed in Chicago, who booked a ton of stuff into Wisconsin, Indiana, and you got free food. Well, one of the comics went down there and ordered lobster.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize you're supposed to take the food from the buffet. So Big Ed gets stuck with a $300 bill.
Oh, okay.
Those stories always
Yeah.
crack me up too. But
Yeah.
I'll go regular buffet. I don't need anything off the menu. I'm fine with it all you can eat.
Yeah, when I get offered a pizza, I'm like, thank you. That's very nice of you. There's a place up in Minnesota, I won't say what, but they way back when you would go there and they kept pounding you, you want some food? No, I'm good. Are you sure you don't want some food? It was an Irish pub. And I was finally, you know what? Fine, I'll have a Reuben. And then they ended the show, Bill. And my drinks. And I was like, oh, come on. You were pressing. Tell me. At any point during these 3 hours, you could have told me that none of this was free. You were the one pressing me. And I was like, oh, it's not your fault.
Okay. I have a similar story, and this made me so mad. I bailed on this guy. I never believed in burning bridges.
Yeah.
But there was a room somewhere in Pennsylvania. I won't say who booked it or whatever, but the guy, this Italian guy who owned it, was a really friendly guy, sarcastic, kind of made me laugh. I was like, oh, that's nice that a club owner can be funny too. But he sat at the end of the bar like the Godfather, and he's like, have you tried our linguine and clams? I'm like, no, I haven't. He goes, get him a plate of the linguine and clams. And I'm like, all right. So I ate it. Same thing. I got a bill for $14.
Yeah.
And then he screwed me over another time and another comic during a snowstorm. So when I moved to L.A., I canceled 2 days out on him. And I kind of felt bad, even though I couldn't stand the guy. He's a terrible person. But you have your own code of ethics. You're like,
right.
That's how much I dislike that guy.
Yeah.
I don't do that to people.
Well,
but I did that to you.
As a comic, it's a good point when you can say no.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you're good and like you're not like worried where you're just scrapping by and just like,
Right.
oh no, I'll do this for $50 for 4 hours. It's like, no.
Listen,
like,
John,
it's
I
about
was
yourself.
bagging groceries when I did it, but I didn't
Yeah.
care. It was the principle of the thing. So, are you okay? So, what gigs do you have other than Marinette?
Right.
Which I'm sure you're looking forward to, as we all are. What do you have coming up around the area? Where can people see you?
Well, yeah. Don't tell Green Bay. I think we're next one might be in March, but otherwise, I'm doing. It's sold out tomorrow, but I'm doing Comedy City New Year's Eve tomorrow. I'm doing a
fun
set of shows in Negaunee, Michigan, January 25th, and then
I've worked that room.
and then Sheboygan 26th, the bowling alley.
Oh, nice.
Have you done that run?
I don't
before?
think.
Okay.
Negaunee's like an Italian restaurant,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Pasquale's.
That's kind of a fun.
Yes.
I hadn't done stand up. It was like 2015. I had been back here like, I don't know, 3 years or whatever. I got a call from Samara in Milwaukee.
She's
like,
still doing that.
Hey, are you free Friday? I'm like, depends. I hadn't done stand up I'd been writing for 15 years. And she's like, we desperately need someone in Negaunee.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I had a friend who was an FBI agent in Marquette. He met me there. I went there. The crowd was great. We ended up having drinks till like 2:00 in the morning, and I stayed at some mom and pop hotel.
Yeah.
It was a really fun gig.
That is one of the best. It's awesome because the first time I headlined there, they had those beer drafts, the giant tubes. And the crowd bought me one, and I ended up doing the whole thing, like during my set. So I barely finished my set after I finished it because we were just having fun doing it. It was like more of the challenge.
Party.
And it was more the challenge. I sold all my merch out that night. And then, I had to obviously get drive to the terrible motel they give you. But it was fun. And I'm very excited to be back.
That motel, I was sure I was not staying. I mean, it's 2 hours from where I live in Marinette. I'm like, I'm coming back. I don't want to stay. They were supposed to get snow. I wanted to get back before the snow. Well, my buddy, family friend, shows up with his partner, 2 FBI guys.
Yeah.
So I am picking their brain.
Yeah.
I'm asking them. We're swapping stories, drinking pitchers of beer. So I had to go back to that mom and pop hotel at 2 in the morning and say, hello.
Yeah.
I decided to stay here after all. And
Yeah.
they were furious.
I'm sure.
I was like, I'm going to die. They're going to kill me.
That place, man. That's something else. That's where you bring your own sheets and your own pillowcase, and you do your own
I
stuff.
feel like something bad must have happened there at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
So my guest is John Egan. He's joining us here in the studio. He comes to us all the way from De Pere, Wisconsin. You can see him. What did you just say? Comedy City on tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. It is sold out, so I don't know why I plugged it, but it's sold
That's all
out.
right. It's just you're in demand now. People know to move a little faster next time. All right, so where can people see you after that? Anything into the new year coming up?
Yeah, just
other than
here and
Negaunee?
there. I mean, like Wapaka, it's on johneganstuff.com. I haven't memorized it right now, but I'm through March right now, so it just comes and I got to get it in between kids' basketball games and other kids' dances and friends and family and
Is that why you work? You try to work close to home because you got young kids?
Yeah, I mean it's part of it because I can't say yes to everything, you know, and that's one of those things where you're like, it's a good excuse too when you're not famous. Just say, oh no, I got a family. I'm not a piece of crap. I got a family. I got stuff going on.
It's nice. I'm booked that night. Yeah, I'm heading. My daughter's making brownies with her friends, but it's a gig.
I got to see Sonic 3 and not fall asleep to help my kid.
All right, John Egan is here in the studio, and when we come back, I'm going to ask John. What am I going to ask you, John? I got so much to get to. We got to get to your sports website.
Yes.
That sounded really cool. Conrad's probably. Do you know what this guy does?
I hear a sports website and I'm interested instantly.
Way to do your homework. Conrad loves sports too. So you guys, I see a friendship developing.
Right, I can tell through the glass.
How awkward can I make this?
I can tell. We're already friends.
All right, we'll be right back with John Egan. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I keep seeing this picture of you. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. And it comes as no surprise to me. With another guy. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. Walking with a love that's oh so fine. Never to be mine, no matter how I try.
97.9 WGBW and WGBW.FM.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Matt Nair on air. This shouldn't be a thing.
Hot Dr. Pepper is the hottest holiday drink, but is it any good?
Jane, I'd like to answer that question.
Yes.
No. Have you ever had a hot soda in your life?
Yes, they're terrible. You can also do apparently 80% eggnog and 20% Dr. Pepper.
Get out of my country.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays 10 till noon on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
From the Lake Shore to Lake Winnebago.
Door to Fond du Lac counties.
Northeast Wisconsin is special for many different reasons. I'm Lisa Hale.
And I'm Terry Barr. Family and fun.
Safe communities and friends. We're featuring all of it as part of New Wisco Weekend, a news magazine show just for you, and highlighting what makes the Fox Valley and Green Bay area a great place to live. Join us.
New Wisco Weekend, Saturday mornings at 8, Sundays at 11 on WGBW and WISS and the Civic Media app.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app from the Apple or Google Play Store, then
get off home. I wanna drive them home. When you're feeling blue, I'm thinking just of you.
Sometimes I just don't even like reading text, especially, you're familiar with my buddy Dave, who always just texts me personally, refuses.
Yeah.
He always make a game out of it. Like, he won't text the show. He says he wants to stop picking his feet at night for New Year's resolution. That's just awful.
Picking
Just sitting
his
there
feet.
picking at his feet.
Oh, he knows he can just put on socks, right?
He could, or, put some
Very
lotion.
simple these are very simple solutions.
He wishes he could stop, though. He can't stop. John,
all I'm saying is socks. Just socks and some tape.
All right, you heard it, Dave. Get some socks.
Send
That's
you
our
socks, Dave.
That's our question. What is your New Year's resolution? Let us know at 855-752-4842. I have decided I'm going to try to give up processed sugar this year. Conrad is going to try to take better care of yourself.
Yeah, work on the health.
Take a good swim in Lake
Very specific of you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I was just going to say.
It's very broad.
Yeah. What about you, John? You got one?
Oh, I need to do, here's the thing. I used to be like 240 pounds.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, very big. I got down to like 165, and now my age is just like destroying my body. So I'm just, I got to do that. I got to kick my butt into gear. I don't know.
What do you mean? Like you're going to try to lose more weight?
I just need to lose weight again.
Okay.
Yeah, I could use a good 10. A good 10 would be good for me.
Yeah, I need about 20. I'm not going to lie. I got to get rid of 20. I almost wanted to come on and say I'm trying to gain weight. Remember when you were in like high school?
Yeah.
I got to gain weight.
Oh no, I was always fat. I have no idea what that concept is.
Well, good for you for losing that kind of weight. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
Actually, Weight Watchers. I mean, and it turns out when you eat and exercise, and then you find out what you're eating, that's a huge one. But for me, that's just the system that worked for me. Just to realize that you can't use 4 scoops of peanut butter on a peanut butter sandwich, and there's bread out there that's way better for you than some of the stuff. Or the stuff you get at the store.
Everybody. I've heard a lot of people say that Weight Watchers is the way to go because it's like moderation.
Mm-hmm.
And you get rid of your cravings and that kind of stuff, and that's part of the battle, right?
It is. I have my problems with it because I think that they actually just updated it because last year I was being like a troll on the Weight Watchers app because a lot of times a lot of the like superfoods, like really good foods for you, are tons of points.
Yeah.
Like oils are still lots of points, and avocados and like nuts, and it's like that food is so good for you. Obviously, I get that the moderation, you should not have 3 cups of nuts. Like that's not great for you,
Right.
but that's way better than eating a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Eating an avocado in the morning is way better for you than a bowl of Cheerios. It's just better. It's like better for your body.
And all those natural foods, like for me, that's the biggest thing. Like I would like, oh God, I'm craving a soda right now.
Yeah.
Or fast food. But when you kick those habits, like you don't want anything to do with that stuff. It's such a great feeling.
And that's what's frustrating right now with me because, I don't know, it's my body. It's age as well. But, I don't drink soda. I don't eat fast food. I don't have junk food in my house. I don't do any of that. I exercise. I watch what I eat. And then the doctors, they told us tests. They're like, yeah, I don't know. I guess your metabolism, your parents' fault. Like they don't know what to do because they're just like, we don't know what's going on with you either.
Oh, really?
There's no reason. Like I testosterone's fine. All the blood work's great. And they're just like, we got no answers for you.
How do you check your testosterone?
I think it's a blood test. I think they just check if you can, they can notice if you have like a low T type, all those low T commercials.
Low T, right.
Yeah. So I'm fine. I'm good.
What if you have high E?
What's that?
Estrogen?
Oh, I don't know. I think that goes along with the testosterone.
Conrad, you ever have your estrogen checked?
Can't say I have.
No time like the present, buddy. All right. So did you okay, let me ask you this, John. When you lost weight, did you lose any jokes?
A couple, but not many. If anything, I gained them because you could talk about losing weight.
Nice.
And like I said, I thought I'd be a model, and I just realized how big my ears were. That was the big one. Is that just became very prevalent, like my features.
How did you get started doing stand-up? Where did you start, and how did you did a flip switch where you're like, hey, I think I can do this?
Well, it was I knew as early as 4th grade. It's very dated now, but listening in 4th grade, which I shouldn't have, but I listened to Dennis Leary's No Cure for Cancer, which nowadays not great, probably a great album to listen to. Probably doesn't hold up. A very Bill Hicks ripoff, but at the time, for me, that's all I knew is Dennis Leary, MTV. A guy who was just angry and ranting. That's kind of always been my go-to happy place of someone being angry and ranting. So I remember just being on the floor and then just realize just assuming because where I lived and how I grew up that I didn't have a chance. There was no internet. You couldn't just be like, oh, by the way, everyone just moves to LA or Chicago, or you could just move to these big cities and do that. I think I was just more afraid of a backup plan. And then so I did improv in high school. I did a little bit of stand-up in college. It was so bad. I was a part of this little stand-up group, and we bombed every show, just terrible shows. Everything was terrible. So I quit, and then I started back up around 26, 27. Okay. And then, but Skyline, Cliff, the old owner there, was so great. It was one of those things where there were 2 clubs in the area competing, and he needed more comics to help fill the place because the comics couldn't work at this. There's 2 comedy clubs in Appleton. They couldn't work together.
Yeah.
So if you worked at the one club, you couldn't at the other. And I got really lucky, and I got in as a host right away. And so I learned everything in 2 or 3 years.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Does being in Northeast Wisconsin, or more specifically De Pere, Green Bay, help shape your comedy in any way? And if so, how?
That's a good question because I try not to have a lot of local stuff. It's more of I do more of almost storytelling jokes type thing and things that have happened to me and stuff like that. So coming from Green Bay, I don't know, but I think if things happen to me or stuff that I observe, it jumps in. But yeah, for me, I don't have a whole lot of local stuff, honestly.
Do you have how do you think it is from a convenience standpoint where you're located? Now you've made it work for you because you work a lot of Wisconsin stuff, but do you ever wish, and we'll do the news, but we'll come back and you can answer this.
Sure.
Wish you lived in a bigger area or something that was more conducive to, or easier travel, I guess.
Sure.
So think about that.
All
We'll
right.
talk about that. We'll talk about your sports website.
Yes.
Which is really impressive. It's not even like a side hustle. I mean, that's it looks like something you do full time. It's a very impressive website. So we'll talk about that too. My guest is John Egan, and we're talking comedy. We're talking sports websites and all kinds of stuff and whatever's on his mind. If you have anything you want to get off your chest, John, this is the place.
I clearly did already. I talked about my weight for 25 stupid minutes.
All right, we'll be right back with more Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We have found a way to talk around the problem. Building towers, foresight isn't anything at all. Why the sky and sell the sky.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, we run through some of our favorite This Shouldn't Be a Things. Also, we talk the wonderful world of weddings coming up. Don't miss it.
Matnair on air, weekday mornings at 11.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too. Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a civic media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Funeral arrangements for former President Carter taking shape. Mr. Carter's remains to lie in state at the Capitol from next Tuesday through Thursday. There will also be activity in Georgia.
The former president's remains will be moved on Saturday, and then he will stop at the State House here in Atlanta, then here at the Carter Center where people can pay their respects. Then he will head to Washington where there is a public viewing at the U.S. Capitol.
ABC's Steve Osunsami. The Washington, D.C.-based federal appeals court upheld a jury's finding in a civil case that Donald Trump sexually abused columnist E. Jean Carroll in the 90s and awarded her $5 million. Ian Kramer, grown son of North Dakota Republican Senator Kevin Kramer, was sentenced to 28 years in prison in a wild chase in 2023 during which he plowed into a sheriff's deputy's vehicle, killing that deputy. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The country is mourning its longest-living president, Jimmy Carter, who died at the age of 100. Wisconsin helped push Carter to the White House. He was the underdog in the Democratic primary in 1976. The vote was so close here between Carter and fellow Democrat Morris Udall that the Milwaukee Sentinel declared Udall the winner in its front page the next day. That was later corrected when Carter won Wisconsin by 1 percentage point. Then during the general election, it was Wisconsin's 11 electoral votes that put Carter over the 170 needed to win the White House. In 1980, Carter lost Wisconsin to Ronald Reagan. Carter was a huge advocate for Habitat for Humanity. The nonprofit builds homes for low-income and disadvantaged families. It has 30 chapters across Wisconsin. The new year might bring higher prices on just about anything that's made in or contains parts that are made in other countries. President-elect Donald Trump has promised a new slate of tariffs when he takes office. Tariffs, or taxes on imports, are paid by businesses purchasing goods from other countries. Economists say tariffs are typically passed on to consumers of anything we import, from electronics to home goods to gas. UW Eau Claire Economics Chair Thomas Kemp says a significant number of businesses in the state will feel the effects.
Let's say a small Wisconsin business is dependent upon a Chinese supplier for, say, machinery and equipment, that's going to impact them significantly. Or if they're a retailer that sells primarily goods and services made in China, they're going to be impacted by this.
According to Wisconsin Economic Development, in 2022, Wisconsin imports totaled $41 billion, the highest level recorded in state history. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
The Packers lose to the Vikings. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Vikings jumped out to an early lead again against Green Bay and held on to win this time 27-25 over the Packers. Former Packer Aaron Jones says, from Justin Jefferson to tight end TJ Hawkinson, the Vikings have depth.
We have weapons, and I think that's what's scary. We got so many playmakers, so guys understand that, and they make the most of their opportunities.
The Packers plagued with penalties, illegal formation, offsides on a field goal, even 12 men on the field. Head coach Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, that was on us as coaches. Called the personnel, somebody heard it different, and that's how we got 12 in the huddle. That's the first time that's happened in a really long time. You know, those are drive-stopping penalties.
And the NFL has announced that the Packers' final regular season game is Sunday at noon when they host the Bears. NBA, the Bucks lost to the Bulls over the weekend. Tomorrow, they play the Pacers in Indiana for an early New Year's Eve game. Tip-off time is 2 p.m. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news in depth. Find it in the news section at WGBW.FM.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight, areas of fog and lows in the upper 20s. And staying mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high in the mid-30s. A little bit of sunshine on New Year's Day, high in the mid-20s. And around 20 to the low 20s with more sun Thursday and Friday.
Currently, it's 37.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when.
don't find yourself saying,
When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Mino and the Mayor.
You ever really want to get back at me?
Well, you're claustrophobic. That would really.
Oh, God.
Oh, that would be tough for you.
The worst.
You would talk like that.
Like
Get
that.
this.
Absolutely.
Get this. Put him in a drum and throw him in the water. He's claustrophobic and he can't swim.
Yeah.
I think we could get anything we wanted out of you.
Anything.
All right, Todd, mental note.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 WISS. And on the Civic Media app. Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time. Our old friend and colleague, Mr. Luke Mathers, will be here with a Tuesday Tangent from Luke, and we'll celebrate the new year. Join us then.
The Todd Albaugh Show. Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now a guy who doesn't believe in sex after marriage, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. Pardon me. Great to have you with me on this Monday night edition. It's the eve of New Year's Eve, ladies and gentlemen, and it's so fun to have you here. Our question tonight is, what is your New Year's resolution? Very simple. We've gotten some great answers, but maybe if you've already changed yours too, that's fine too. If you've already texted the show and within the last hour decided to forget that, I'm going to try to put on weight. That's fine too. Bill Gorgo will be here in just a few minutes. We'll talk about New Year's Eve in Port Washington. From a stand-up comedy standpoint. And then tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, we do a 1-hour show where we're just going to play some clips of me on other Civic Media shows with your favorite Civic Media hosts, because we have a shortened time slot, because Lou Regani will be here at 7 o'clock tomorrow night helping you ring in the new year with some great crooner classics. I assume, have you ever listened to Lou's show, Conrad?
Yeah, a little bit. And
Fantastic.
It's some great music.
Great music. And then on New Year's Day, we won't be here either, but we put together a special bar band Friday night compilation reel for your enjoyment. January 1st, Terry Barr will be here. She brings us new music every week, and we will put together a best of for that on January 1st. So right now, we have a few more minutes with comedian John Egan. He comes to us. Pardon me. John, I'm just getting over something. And
I keep slapping you. That's why he's coughing. I just keep slapping him every
I don't
time.
know what is happening. I might need the Heimlich maneuver. Are you?
Yeah.
Do you know CPR?
Not one, and I should. I really should for the kids, because we give them grapes, so I really should know that. That's one of my worst fears.
I'm not trying to scare you.
Yeah.
But I was in a middle school about 5 years ago, and a kid choked on a grape.
Yeah.
And this guy, David Cleats, I'll say his name on the air. He's a hero. He's like 80 years old, Vietnam vet, great guy. And maybe 5'7" at the most, 120 pounds, comes up behind this big kid and gives him the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah.
One poke or pull, whatever it is, and the grape went flying. He saved the kid's life.
That's great.
And I'm with you. I'm like, my kids are older now, but I'm like, I think I was last certified for CPR like in 93 before I even had kids. Well,
I'm sure I can pull, I don't know. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to hurt their little bodies or something if I did something.
yeah, I could see that. But like, you got to know when you have kids. Like, okay, I could save some sap in a restaurant who's not keeping his mouth closed when he chews, but I can't save my own kids.
Yeah, great. That'll be the rest of my night.
Hey,
Just me.
that sounds like a great New Year's resolution.
We're
here to
CPR
help.
for grapes.
John, we talked about a little bit before the break. Is it living in Northeast Wisconsin and doing stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
Is that convenient? Have you made it convenient because you have a diameter of places you'll go, or how does that work out for you?
I think, it was, for me, it is more just like about family. My wife's family is from Marinette, actually.
Yeah.
And so they're all in this kind of area, and for them, and so it's like an hour to them, 2 hours to where I grew up. And so I'm from Milwaukee, and so I guess it's convenient. I mean, I'm a big city person. I definitely am. Would I prefer to be in Milwaukee? Absolutely. But this has kind of been my home, my friends. Cost of living, my goodness, my home would be in Milwaukee. Is very small compared to what I can get up here, and that's the thing is you always take for granted too that we have Lambeau Field like 10 minutes away. That like literally every week, that is someone's dream or bucket list is to be here and see that, and it's something we see every day. So it's like it's one of those things. It's a balancing act where it is nice where like the northern gigs, hey, it's a lot easier to get to that,
right?
And then it's a straight shot to Minnesota for 4 hours, 2 to Milwaukee, 3 to Chicago. So it's a kind of a hub of all these places that you can kind of go to.
Well said. That's great. It is funny. It's like wherever you get your kids into school, that's when things or a place I think starts to feel like home. It's like, okay, this is my home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I've been here since I've been 18, so that's more than my home.
Yeah.
So like where I grew up. So like this is technically the most like I've been a Green Bay person more of my life, which is weird.
In your bio, it says other comics refer to you as very relatable and club owners. Does that come naturally, or do you have to work to find connections with audiences, or is it just something you have a kind of an everyman's mentality?
I think, it was just always one of those things where I felt like I could, everyone has the same issues and it's just like they want to hear it. So like, that's what I've learned about comedy too, is that when you see someone bombing, usually it's when they're punching down or when they're making fun of other people and not themselves. Because people will laugh at that. If you're making fun of yourself, they want to hear that. They want to hear you tearing yourself down about something relatable so they feel like they can laugh. It's like, oh, well, if he's laughing at himself, I can too. Like that's the kind of thing that can pop up. It's like it's always about being like talking about yourself that other people can relate to.
Very well said. You have this cool side hustle that I alluded to, and it's not even a side hustle. It's like an actual working website. I don't know how you keep everything updated, but tell us about your Wisconsin sports website.
Well, yeah, for me, I've written some different ones, but like for me, I keep it up mostly on like social media. So like Twitter/X has been like my biggest like group of followers for me, where I can start right. I've written for Packers for actually a Vikings website used to pay me to write about the Packers. They had a whole Packers section.
Oh, wow.
So I used to do that. I've written a couple ones for like 3 different Brewers sites, and so it kind of just stems off from there. But I've gotten a lot of stuff just from like X Twitter basically. I was pretending to be a Raptor for like 3 years.
Is that where the name Brewer Raptor comes from?
So basically there was a pitcher for the Brewers called Brent Suter, and his nickname was the Raptor because he would like pretend to be a Raptor in like spring training. And so when I joined Twitter originally for just to focus on sports, I was originally Mike Moustakas, who was on the Brewers. He was a third baseman. So I was Mike Moustakas' actual Moose, which is his nickname. And it was just a picture of a moose with a terrible Brewers hat.
I remember that, yeah.
And then I switched over to Brent because he was the Raptor. So I was Brent Suter's actual Raptor. And so, like, that's why I say, if you can pretend to be yourself or a dinosaur, it's way easier to be a dinosaur. It's a lot more fun. But that's how I kind of started getting that and like making connections. I started a Brewers podcast. So I ended up throwing out a first pitch because of all that. Like, so it's brought a lot of good stuff for me.
So when you write these blogs or about the Packers, whether it's for another team or just for your own website, do you try to make them funny? Do you bring humor to them, or is it more actual reporting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've done some serious articles before, but for me, it's way better just to write with my own voice.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm coming from, to add humor into it, to see something I'm seeing, and outrage is so easy too. Oh man, I haven't sold my soul yet, but it's really easy to just write something that like in 2023, right before Yelich like did really well again for the Brewers. I was at a game and people were literally threatening him, like from the stands, like because he was not playing well, and like
Brewer fans,
yeah, and just for me to just be like a guy had to be escorted out because he would not stop. Like he was standing the entire game on the first baseline near the dugout, like kept threatening Christian Yelich just over and over.
Gosh.
And I had and in my article, I was just like, can we please calm down? And that is very controversial to tell someone how to fan. or if to tell people that the fans at Lambeau cannot be great. Oh, they don't like hearing that either here. They don't like hearing it. They get a lot of hate.
Wow. But that's like crazy that you would see. I have no problem with that because the guy, and they'll say, well, I'm paying my money, but you can't be a jerk. You can't, first of all, Yelich could probably kick your ass.
Yeah. And even that, you can boo, you can don't like him online,
Sure.
but it just becomes this thing of like, it's always something to complain about. You can't, people are never happy. It's like, there's a meme we always post. It's like, oh, my favorite baseball team won today. I must find something to complain about still.
What you got to throw the first pitch out at a Brewer game?
Yes.
Talk about that. That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah. So what happened is they had this super fan contest this year. It was the first time they ever did, and so basically they you wrote in an essay. Well, someone had to do it for you about why you're such a super fan, and I kept asking my wife to, and then she wouldn't. She kept forgetting, so my mom did, and so. I got to do it. It was really fun. It's like a bucket list item. It really was. Like my whole life, I was like, I'm going to do something super important one day and throw out the first pitch. And then I took a shortcut.
It's either that or stop world hunger.
Take a shortcut to what your life goal is. And so, yeah, it was fun. I was on there with the guy from St. Norbert, the teacher, the Jeopardy guy, Ben Chan.
Ben Chan. Sure, he's been on the Ben's great.
He was super fun. And then so you get up there and it's funny because they give you I got a little swag bag. My friends were there and all that stuff. And I was practicing. I played baseball my whole life.
Yeah.
I actually did the Brent Suter move because Brent actually had a famous wind up. He put his back foot, lifted in one leg, and did in one motion. And so I actually did it from the mound. You could pick where you did it, and I did it from the top of the mound. I didn't go in front of it like a lot of people do because you didn't want to spike it because you don't. That's embarrassing. You don't want to spike the ball. I mean, you could do the 50 Cent. Have you seen the 50 Cent first pitch?
Oh, what happened?
Where he goes completely 90 degrees. Do that. You can go really far like Pat Connaughton did where he threw it in the nets. And so I got cute. I did the Brent Suter thing. I looked at Quentin Berry, which is the Brewers' first base coach. He's laughing because he knows what I'm doing.
Right.
And I spiked it.
Oh!
Spiked my first pitch.
Straight down.
No, well, it hit the dirt off the grass by there, but it didn't get there. And I was 42,000 people awing. I got so many notifications. Still get crap from my family.
Your friends never give up. Yeah.
No.
But how do you? So many people do that. You just don't ever use that muscle.
Right. Yeah, but I should have done it. I got cute. I should have just thrown it as hard as I could. It was fat. I thought I was going to do something. But here's the thing: the Brewers lost 15-1 that game. All right, and they do position pitchers when they're up. By losing that much, so Owen Miller, the first baseman at the time, was a position player, so he was first baseman, so he got to pitch. And 6 pitches in, he spiked it. So I'm the same. I'm the same as a Brewers pitcher.
Okay, so you could have gone pro. That's what I'm.
That's absolutely a couple of decisions.
Good way to look at it. What? All right. So what is your favorite sport on your website to write about or cover?
It's baseball. I mean, that's my first love. What I decided to do was go all in on sports, and what I decided to do is pick the smallest market team in America. So it's harder to get followers and people to pay attention. I should have gone Packers because it's worldwide. Packer fans are everywhere. There's a bar in every city. But Brewers is such a small market. But I mean, I love the people that I know and that I've got to know. But it's fun. Baseball's my first love.
So how far will the Packers go this year in the playoffs?
I don't know, one round. It's just I get so excited every year, and because you don't know when that run's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be hard to top last year because nobody saw that Cowboys game coming. I mean, they were on a run. Jordan was unstoppable that last part of the season. But I think they can beat the Eagles, but can they beat the Vikings? Can they beat the
Can they
Lions?
beat the Eagles with Jalen Hurts playing?
Yeah, I think they can. I think if they show up, I mean, if they're healthy,
right?
Like that Minnesota game, they weren't healthy. They are not playing.
They seem like they could beat anybody if they put a good game together.
They love beating themselves. They love beating themselves, offsides, all these other things.
Well, you're talking to a guy whose team has not been good in 30 years. So I don't have much sympathy for Packer fans.
Well, you know what? We just want 2 more titles. That's all we want in 10 years. That's all we need.
That's not too much to ask for. Can you stick around for a couple more minutes? I want to ask you what you're watching, and then we will get to Bill Gorgo, who's going to tell us what it's like to spend New Year's Eve in Port Washington. You could do a lot worse. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
That's what you get for waking up in Vegas. Why are these lights so bright? Did we get hitched last night? Dressed up like Elvis. Why am I wearing your class ring? Don't call your mother, 'cause now we're partners in crime. Don't be a baby, remember what you told me. And put your money where your mouth is. That's what you get for waking up.
From Ashwaubenon to Alloway, this is 97.9 WGBW. The Todd Alba Show.
UW System spends $51 million of our taxpayer money for consultants. 3 times the budget shortfall that triggered the Oshkosh layoffs in 2023. Why is there such silence from Democrats in the state capitol on this? Ask people in Richland Center, Waukesha, Washington County if they got their $51 million worth for the UW System.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Dom Salvia Show.
How about this one? Harvey K., a Delano Democrat.
The problem with that is that was his mother's family name. You might not realize that he had a father too.
Come on, man.
Subscribe to my arguments and you can call a Dom Democrat.
All right, I'll take a Dom Democrat. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a big favorite here on this show.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.com.
Checking in on the stream, Craig Knitt, who's been on this show before. He is a friend of the show, a couch potato, if you will. John knows Craig. You guys you go way back, right?
Yes, Comedy City forever. He's been there. Great. Always
so
fun
cool.
performing.
His New Year's resolution is to get more movies made. Easier said than done, but I love the enthusiasm, Craig. Thank you. And Craig says, note on John. I've had such a great time watching John progress through the ranks as a beginner all the way up to being a headline comedian. I think with all the comedians that are attached to Nightlight, a comedy show could pop up somewhere. Wow.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
We got a venue. We could use the studio.
Yeah.
Conrad, we could probably put together
build
a little stage in
once
here.
every 3 months. Yeah, do the comics of
We're not going to try to do the full-time thing. Wait,
what?
I've learned.
No.
full-time club.
No, no.
Yeah.
You just do every 3 months. You
I
promote
think
it on
that
the
would be
radio.
very fun.
Yeah, bring
Would
in different
you
people.
be part of it?
Of course. I'll help. I'll help book it. I don't care. No, I'll do it.
I don't want anything to do with it.
I love it.
You guys should do it.
No.
All right. We're moments away from bringing Bill Gorgo, another very funny guy, onto the show. But I want to ask you, what are you watching, John? We talk about TV and movies a lot. Do you have a binge watch, something you're watching that you could recommend? Have you seen any of the holiday films?
I mean, we just finished No Good Deed, that new show on Netflix with Ray Romano and Lisa Kudrow.
Oh, okay.
That was fun. That was a decent time.
I
watched. My kid likes the Venom movies, and this is going to shock you. He cried during the last Venom movie because there's other Venom creatures, symbiotes, and there's like these creatures in it that like will eat them, and they eat a couple of them, and he lost his mind. He's like, no, the symbiotes. Why did they do that? I realized that was his first big like monster movie, like a monster coming to attack. Like he's never watched like Godzilla or like, those big monster movies. So that was his first one to like get into the genre. And it was just so funny to see.
Rite of passage.
So upset, like to care about the Venom, The Last Dance that no one cared about or something.
How old is he?
He's 8.5. So he's getting there. Like where I'm trying to force movies on him because I was a huge movie guy. Like 6 years old, I was watching Predator, Terminator. I was all in. So like I'm trying to ease him into it, but I don't want to, get him
traumatize him.
Yeah, too much. I mean, he's got time to do that, and I figure he's got time for his friends and sleep. That was what sleepovers is about,
right?
But now I think all the kids just watch all the clips on TikTok now. You don't watch them together.
I don't know if you remember doing this when I was a kid. There was always that one kid who had HBO, and we would set up sleepovers based on when movies with nudity. Were on. It's like, Animal House is on at 10 o'clock Friday.
Yeah.
And he would ask his mom, can the guys sleep over? So I'm not saying your kid is doing that. I'm just saying.
No, but well, he's got a phone. He listens to podcasts, so that's the thing. He listens to like more comedy adult podcasts. So I'm proud about that.
Okay.
He hasn't repeated the words yet, so he's
George Carlin or
still
Bill
do it.
Hicks.
Yeah, no, yeah.
This is fun, John. Pardon me, John Egan. Conrad, I need a cough drop. What am I doing here? Do we have a pharmacy here? Don't we? The Nightlight Pharmacy.
The Nightlight Pharmacy. I think it's closed.
I'm just saying some of the bigger radio stations have their own pharmacy. Is that too much to ask for? John Egan is my guest. This has been really fun getting to know you. I want to bring Bill on because you guys are both comedians. And you said you've never met Bill. So Bill's a great guy, too. He is one of the Chicago Comedy All-Stars performing in Port Washington tomorrow night at Memories Ballroom. I don't know what it's like, but that sounds like a really cool venue. I'd like to welcome now to Nightlight for the first time, Bill Gorgo. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Pete. John, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir. We're actually bitter rivals. That's why I didn't say it.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, we hate each other.
Secretly hate
forever years. I just was joking.
I'll
Bill,
get you yet. I will get you yet.
How you doing,
buddy? Calm down, everybody. Calm down.
Yeah, it's all fun. How are you?
I'm big for my age, actually. Other than that, old. How about you?
Bill, I'm well, and one of the best things about doing this show, I get to talk about entertainment on a nightly basis, which I love, but is also meeting for the first time comedians like John, but also reconnecting with comedians like you, who I haven't seen in decades. I was, in LA for years, and now I've been in Wisconsin for over a decade, and I feel like, I have so much to ask you. After we cover Memories Ballroom tomorrow night, I was on the road with you one week. I'd like to go over that too. So saddle in, buddy.
What happens on the road stays on the road.
No, but nothing weird happened. At least not between us. You did disappear for 3 hours.
Okay,
I'm not going to ask you about that. But no, we worked North Dakota.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How can you forget North Dakota? There's nothing else to remember.
North Dakota
being there.
Yeah, it's a weird. Actually, Grand Forks had a great comedy room. I think we worked the Westward Ho, and the guy that ran it really knew what he was doing. It was a fun comedy room, and it was full time. And that town is smaller than Green Bay, so maybe there's hope for Green Bay, John.
There should be.
But Bill and I did that, and I'll just share one thing that Bill taught me on the road. And I said, "What do you do when you get too tired?" I don't know if you remember this, Bill, but you said, "Here's what I do: I crank the heat in the car." It was the middle of winter, by the way, too. He says, I crank the heat in the car, then I'll pull over at a rest area and I'll go to sleep. And when the car loses all the heat, I'll wake up. And that worked for you, Bill. I was worried I would freeze to death, but that seemed to work for you. That's a great
Freezing
tip.
to death is a nice way to go. If it happens, it happens.
In North Dakota.
And then you don't have to drive to Minot the next night, which is okay.
We had, so there's another comic, a Wisconsin comic, Fred Klett.
Yeah.
Milwaukee guy. You ever work with Fred, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great guy. We worked, I think that was my first week ever on the road. I pull in to Minot, the bar there. The only car in the lot that's not a pickup truck is Fred's like Mercury Disable or something like that.
Yeah.
And then my car, and the rest were pickup trucks. The only two women in the club were waitresses.
Okay.
And they're talking to Fred and me to get our information and take drink orders, and everybody is looking over like these two dandies coming in from the city. It was horrible.
Yeah. You didn't wear flannel to just fit in?
I wish I would. I knew
Bring
nothing.
other outfits.
I knew nothing about Minot, John, when I went there, except their slogan, Bill, I don't know if you remember this, is on the billboard when you pull into town, why not Minot?
My slogan for them is, I might not go back. Because once you've been there once, twice doesn't make any sense.
You've seen it all. Exactly. All right. Bill Gorgo is here, folks. We're going to talk after the news. We're going to ask Bill about New Year's Eve in Port Washington tomorrow night. A great show taking place at Memories Ballroom, and then we'll get into some more stand-up comedy stuff. John, it was great meeting you. Thanks for making the drive all the way from the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
De Pere.
Yeah. Well, when I pull over, I'm going to let the heat go out.
Going
over the bridge and from Green Bay, and then I'll just go home.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are coming right back with more comedy talk and more fun stuff, and we're going to read your text, too. What is your New Year's resolution, folks? Lay it on us. It's Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Wisconsin has only 4 abortion clinics. That means 96% of Wisconsin counties don't have an abortion provider, and about 70% of Wisconsinites of reproductive age live in a county without an abortion clinic. Under state law, Wisconsin doctors cannot prescribe abortion medication via telemedicine, but other states have shield laws, meaning their doctors can prescribe abortion pills to people in other states. On average, Wisconsinites are placing 130 orders per month of abortion medication via telemedicine. Jenny Higgins from UW-Madison's Collaborative for Reproductive Equity says shield law clinicians provide critical and affordable care to Wisconsinites, and they're worried about new laws in the new administration, especially those that could be used to target people of color.
We know historically that Black and brown women are the most likely to be criminalized during pregnancy, whether that pregnancy is ending in abortion or birth. And so I think we need to pay great attention to the ways in which some of the pregnant people with the least social power could be putting themselves at risk.
A law from the 1800s could come into play under the new administration, although about 70% of Americans have never heard of it. The Comstock Act banned taking obscene material across state lines. Project 2025 directs leaders to use that old law to criminalize abortion. Some state attorneys general have already asked courts to make mailing abortion pills illegal under that act. 2 counties in northeast Wisconsin made the list of the 10 wealthiest counties in our state, according to Smart Asset. Based on median income, investment income, and property value, Calumet County is the 7th wealthiest in the state, and Outagamie County comes in at 10th. Waukesha holds the honor as Wisconsin's wealthiest county. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Here's one of Pete's picks, Wisconsin. Check out the film Conclave. The film tells the story of the cardinals converging on Rome to select the next pope. Ray Fiennes is our Access character who manages the whole scene as potential candidates jockey for position to become the next pontiff. Lots of unexpected twists and great storytelling. In addition to Fiennes, the film stars John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, and Isabella Rossellini. Just under 2 hours, but doesn't feel like it. Check it out. So much TV to watch, so little time. If you're a horror fan, check out TheWrap.com's recent list of the best horror episodic TV shows from 2024, which include AMC's Interview with the Vampire Season 2, Paramount Plus's last season of Evil, which The Wrap called an almost perfect show. Walking Dead fans will be thrilled to hear that Rick and Michonne's show, The Ones Who Live, was also on the list, as was a show many horror fans have talked about called What We Do in the Shadows. Check out the full list and watch them all. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy sky tonight, areas of fog and lows in the upper 20s. And staying mostly cloudy for tomorrow, high in the mid-30s. A little bit of sunshine on New Year's Day, high in the mid-20s. And around 20 to the low 20s with more sun Thursday and Friday. Right now it's 33.
In the market for a home loan? It's time to meet Kristen Ambos, the top 1% of loan originators in the U.S. and the #1 female loan officer in Wisconsin for 2 years running. With over 20 years experience, Kristen and Point Mortgage Corporation are here to serve all of your lending needs, from conventional to FHA, USDA, and VA loans. Plus, with their rate match guarantee, if they can't beat your pre-approved rate, they'll pay you $500. Call Kristen Ambos today at 920-606-1156 and let her and Point Mortgage make your home ownership dreams come true.
The Todd Alba Show.
What's going on in Washington today as we move into 2025? Have your antenna up. Don't rely on all the media sources. Just your own wisdom, your own heart, your own gut. Listen to what they're saying about our friends and neighbors and family, because we innately know these people that we live with every day in our communities. Don't allow words and thoughts to tear us apart. Hold fast to that which we know, which is good.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Dom Selvia.
Next time, we'll review the strikes and gutters.
back tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, on Nightlight. We are only here for an hour, and then Lou Regani takes over and kicks off New Year's Eve here at Civic Media with his great. He's got all the crooners. He's going to be. It's a perfect way to ring in the new year, and then on New Year's Day from 6 to 8 here at Nightlight, we will have a best of show with Terry Barr, who will be here for a compilation of our Bar Band Friday night segment, bringing you new music like she does every week. 2 full hours of that on New Year's Day. Right now on the show, I have an old friend of mine, very funny guy, one of the Chicago Comedy All-Stars. You can see him tomorrow night in Port Washington on New Year's Eve. I think I would like that to be a destination, Bill, for everybody to start hitting Port Washington on New Year's Eve. It's a beautiful town right on the lake. You're going to be there tomorrow night.
New Year's Eve is New Year's Eve, but they do shows there about once a month through most of the year.
Oh, okay.
And frequently it's the Chicago Comedy All-Stars. Our friend Jimmy McHugh, that's his organization, and he circulates about 15, 20 comics through the room. And when they do it Chicago All-Star style, there's 4 headliners on the stage. We each do 15 to 20 minutes, take a break, and then we all go on stage together and kind of do a little riffing.
Oh, fun.
A lot of fun.
So who else is on the show? You got you, Jim McHugh.
Tim Walko.
Very funny.
And the 3 of us, of course, go back to the 80s along with you. We got swept up in that tide. And joining us for the evening is Olivia Witt from Madison, Wisconsin. So
a Madison Comedy All-Star. There you go.
Madison
We can
Comedy
mix and
All-Star
match.
for a little flavor. We're going
That's
to balance out the
fantastic.
ticket. We've got 2 Bears fans, 2 Packer fans. So just to keep the fighting.
Oh,
even.
there you go. Boy, McHugh is a Packer fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even though he's a lifelong. Does it surprise you, Conrad? You'll get a kick out of this. There are a ton of Packer fans in Chicago. What do you make of that, Bill?
Desperation. I mean, if you started out young as a Bears fan, when's your breaking point? The 70s, the 90s, the aughts? I'm close. I am close. I'm looking around. I'm shopping. My feeling is when you're looking forward once again to following your team in the off season when they're not playing, there's something wrong with that.
That's how I am every year. I'm already thinking about the draft in week 6 and free agency. And it's just not fair because we're good fans, but the organization's terrible.
3 of the 4 teams the Bears managed to beat so far this year, and so far, who are we kidding? They got 1 game left against the Packers. But 3 of the 4 teams they beat are ahead of them in the draft. At this point, don't you kind of wish they'd have lost those 3 games too?
Oh, man. You know what I wish, Bill? I wish I could be in Port Washington tomorrow night. So, all right, you guys have this great show. Can people still get tickets?
I believe so.
Okay.
If you haven't made a plan for New Year's Eve, seriously consider Port Washington. I've been at Memories before. This is dinner and a show and dancing. And according to the website, the fun doesn't end until 1:45 p.m. on the 1st. I think that's a typo.
Whoa.
I think they'll close the doors at 1:30 a.m., 1:45 a.m. But who knows? It's Port Washington. I know how you
Anything
guys
goes.
think. They might bring pajamas. I'm not. I'll be leaving while the leaving is good. But it's a great room, and the food. Honestly, I hope the owner isn't listening, but I would do the gig for the fried chicken.
Oh, wow.
The
Okay.
best fried chicken I've ever had, and I've been around. That's when you go to a strange town. That's how you strike up a conversation. Where's the best barbecue? Where's the best fried chicken?
You know, it's funny you say that. And let's talk about that because you were already kind of a big shot in Chicago when I started doing comedy. And, you're still going strong. What do you attribute your ability to be funny to after all these years? Do you have to work harder at it as you get older? You have to temper your, we all get crabby as we get older. How do you stay funny, Bill?
I think people are born funny and then they forget how. And comedians are just the people who manage to not forget how. Everybody
That's
laughs at
interesting.
babies. They're just silly. 2-year-olds are hysterical. But by the time people are 7, they're just pushing each other and bullying.
hacks.
They're hacks. Street jokes, just bad stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Impressions. juggling.
So when I mentioned this before we went to the news. You and I worked in North Dakota at Grand Forks. I can't remember the name of the place. What is it?
Was it or was that in Michigan?
Grand
It
Forks.
was like a saloon, 1950s kind
the
of
Westward Ho. Westward Ho. Yeah.
The Westward Ho was Miss Kitty.
Wait, what's that?
I said the Westward Ho was Miss Kitty.
Oh dear. Okay, Conrad, we can bleep that. I'm kidding, Bill. So I remember, I just want to share this to put in perspective when you said you go to a town and you check out the food. I ran to Hardee's one night. I think I took your car because you drove us there all the way from Chicago. And I said, I'm going to Hardee's. It was like the only place open in Grand Forks. I go, what do you want, Bill? Do you want anything? And you said, just get me $5 worth of food.
It's Hardee's.
It's Hardee's.
Seriously.
But like now that would be like 15 or 20 bucks. Like, do you believe you could eat a meal for $5 back in like the early 90s or mid 90s? It's insane. And that was the fine cuisine.
And yet what we're making for those gigs has remained exactly the same.
Right.
Well, when people talk about minimum wage at their jobs, I think, oh, you should try stand-up comedy.
Oh my God.
Those rates haven't gone up in decades.
I want to ask you about New Year's Eve because I remember it's been years since I was a working stand-up, but I remember doing New Year's Eve shows and looking out at the crowd, and the clock hits midnight and all these couples are hugging and kissing, and then I'm like on the stage with another comic who I barely know. It's like, to me, those are the most depressing gigs. Do you like working New Year's Eve?
No. No comic in his right mind really looks forward to New Year's Eve. I took this because Memories is a great room. They have a great audience. The food is outstanding, and we're off stage by probably 10:30.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
we can get in the car and head home before the drunks get back on the road, which is smart. But I've had the money is great on New Year's Eve because it has to be, or no one in their right mind would do it.
Interesting. Have you ever had a bad show on New Year's Eve?
You want this story? I'll tell you the worst
Absolutely.
New Year's Eve ever. And it was like my first headlining New Year's Eve, a 4-figure check. I was pumped. And also I didn't have to do the countdown, which is also great.
Yeah.
I get there early in the day. The woman who's running it, clearly this was her first New Year's Eve. I said, so what time, how are we going to do this? And she said, well, first of all, you have to decide if you want to work on the stage in front of the band's equipment, which is about a foot from the edge of the stage, and no seats, no tables on the dance floor. So the closest table, if you were on stage, about 45, 50 feet away. Or you can work off the dance floor, but no lights and no stage. I said, well, I'd rather do radio than the Grand Canyon. And I decided to do it off the dance floor. Then I said, and the show, what time is the show? She said, well, it's 8:00, right after dinner. I said, well, if dinner isn't over, which comes first? Is it when dinner's over or at 8:00? She said, no, dinner will be over at 8:00. We're starting at 8:00. I said, but if dinner isn't, and now she's getting mad. Oh, no, of course, 8:00. I'm sitting there in the dark on the dance floor, ready to start the show as salads go out. Just terrible. Now,
can you run the dressings by me one more time, please? Yeah.
Halfway through the show, the main course starts getting dropped. What can you think would be the worst main course to have to perform while they're eating?
Something crunchy. I don't know.
All you can eat crab legs. Seriously, if they were silent crab legs, they can't look up. They're watching me like this. Yeah, we can hear you, but they could barely hear me because 150 people cracking crab legs all at the same time. Sounds like there's an earthquake just a brewing about 10 miles away.
That's
just
great.
crunch. And I'm in the dark. So I've got maybe 3 tables in front that have pity on me, and they're eating as best they can, but no one can laugh. They're stuffing their face. Crab legs might run out. It's the only show. I went into my closing bit like this, watching the watch. And I didn't finish it. I go, oh, I am so sorry, but my time is up, and I'm going to have to leave you wondering how that ends.
Oh,
Happy New Year. And I left. I had the check in my pocket, stopped at the bank on the way home.
Where was that?
It was somewhere downstate Illinois at a hotel that was next to a casino. And they had all just opened up, so it was all new to them, and they thought they knew what they were doing.
Oh, God. That's
no
hilarious.
clue what they were doing.
My guest is Bill Gorgo. He is one of the Chicago Comedy All-Stars. You could check him out tomorrow night, New Year's Eve. If you don't have plans yet, folks, check out Memories Ballroom in Port Washington. It's going to be a great show.
4 comedians, headliners.
Yeah.
Tim McHugh voted the funniest man in America a few years back.
That's pretty good.
Olivia Witt, one of the funniest people in Madison, Wisconsin, according to her website. Jimmy and I will be driving up together trying to figure out who's the funniest one in the car. And I think I got a pretty good chance.
That'll be jockeying for position the whole way. All right. So Bill, I want to ask you, I remember, you were part of a group in Chicago. When you have that many comics in a city that size, there's different cliques. And I think everybody got along for the most part. You guys had this writing group.
Still do.
No kidding. Okay. That was part of my question. I was lucky enough to be invited a couple times, and I don't feel like I put my best foot forward. I felt like, what I'm getting at is, obviously you like writing collaboratively. I felt like I needed to hash things out first on my own. I felt like I just kind of watched you guys, and I was my head was going back and forth because you guys had a rhythm. Do you still write comedy that way, and do you prefer to do it that way?
I don't, but I still host a writing group. You're exercising a muscle.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, if you saw if you go to the gym, you see people lifting barbells. They're not lifting it just on the off chance they're going to run into a barbell and need to lift it on the street. They're trying to get stronger. It's just an exercise. And sometimes finishing other people's jokes is as good an exercise for your brain as finishing your own. But I tend to be pretty much a self-writer. So I'll throw things out at a writing session just to see if there's an obvious door that somebody else can spot that I can go through. And I look at my act, and I've probably got, anytime I do a show, I probably got 5, 6, 7 punchlines that were suggested to me by comics.
Right.
That's normal. You do a joke and it works, and you add a punchline and it works, and you add another punchline and it works. And then someone comes along and gives you yet another. Well, why not?
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Yeah. Cause I love hanging out with comics. I haven't been a working comic in decades, but they're still my favorite people to hang out with. So I totally see why you would go. And if I was invited tomorrow, I would go just to be around comics, even though I would not maybe have much to contribute. But
I will keep that in mind when the next one rolls around. Somebody asked me the other day why I became a comedian. I said, well, I got tired of driving up and down the same old strip, and I wanted to find a new place where the kids were hip. And comedy was it. I mean, you're absolutely right. Hanging out with comics is why I stayed a comic.
There you go. Man, it's good to have you on the show, Bill. We'll have a couple more minutes with Bill. Don't go away, though. We got to do a very quick thing. We'll have a few more minutes. We'll wrap up with Bill. Maybe get one more plug in for Memories Ballroom tomorrow night in Port Washington.
And I can tell you my New Year's resolution.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Conrad, have you thought about yours yet?
I told you.
But you were a little vague. We'll get both of them when we come back. This is Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Maggie Dawn Show.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. As 2024 comes to a close, we're taking our annual look back at the year that was. recapping our most read, most listened to, and most impactful stories of the year. If you're new to learning about the recombobulation area, this would be a great place to start to see what we're all about. This year, we covered the RNC in Milwaukee and the DNC in Chicago and broke stories that made national news along the way. We wrote about the fight for fair maps and covered elections in the state legislature like no one else. I wrote opinion columns and feature stories and conducted extended sit-down interviews like one with Senator Tammy Baldwin. I hosted podcasts and radio shows and, of course, joined the Civic Media Network, where you've heard me all over the airwaves for the last few months. This last year was discombobulating at times, but we did our best to make sense of it all, and we've got a whole lot more recombobulation in store for the year ahead in 2025.
Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
Hey there, it's Carrie Joy with your Work Money Minute. Today, I'm talking about why, if you've got savings, you need a high-yield savings account. High yield just means high interest, the money the bank pays you for keeping your money with them. You will probably find the highest yield savings accounts at an online bank. Just go on and Google and do some research and figure out who's offering the highest rates right now. Now, lately, it's been between 4 and 5%. That is your savings earning real interest. And okay, figuring out all the details of opening a new bank account can be very annoying, but I bet you can probably get one going in less than an hour. So give yourself 60 minutes and get it done. I've done it. You'll thank yourself when you see your money making money for doing nothing. For more everyday money help, check out my videos at Work Money Media on YouTube. Till next.
Steady Eddie checks in from the 608. Pardon me, I'm still dealing with my little issue here. Steady Eddie checks in and says, Pete, for the new year, I am determined and do firmly resolve to keep Night Light with Pete Schwaba 6 to 8 weeknights. Thank you, Steady Eddie, for the plug. Burning bright on my radio. And furthermore, I will also resolve with resoluteness and without pause to eat so many Christmas cookies that in 2025 I turn into Santa Claus. Merry Happy New Year, ho, ho, ho. Steadfast Edward. Steady Eddie, thank you, buddy. I hope you have a great 2025. And those are all the New Year's resolutions we've gotten tonight have been great. And we will be back Thursday night live, folks, on January 2nd with film producer Marcia Polk and director Antonio Polk to talk about their film Angels in the Rye. They will be here in studio. And then we have some paranormal talk with Todd Michaels, which we always like to do as well. So right now we have a couple more minutes with very funny Chicago comedy all-star Bill Gorgo. Bill, you've been around a while and you've seen so many comics. Who do you laugh at today? Who's a younger comic now that you think is funny?
Nobody.
Come on.
It's hard for comedians to watch comics for two reasons. First of all, we don't want to get their funny clogged up in our head too much. There are comics that if you watch them for 2 minutes, you start trying to imitate their style just unconsciously. So we have to be a little bit protective. I love seeing clips on Facebook because you're in and out quickly.
Yeah.
And that helps enormously. But the other thing is, it's hard for us to just laugh. We want to analyze. What's he doing there? How's he doing it? How did he get that laugh? What's the trick? We've lived behind the curtain. We know the tricks. So it's like a magician watching a magician. We might be very interested, but we're seldom shocked and surprised.
Right. So, all right. So having said that, there's no one like Chappelle, Nate Bargatze, or
I've really gotten to enjoy Nate lately. I think his over the years, his voice has evolved to a perfect point. Just
very well
sort
said.
of, I don't even have to finish my sentences anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
he's got like all
enjoy the
this
heck out
street
of him.
cred built up. You're right. He doesn't have to finish, and the guy does not really tell jokes. He starts, he'll say, "My wife went to this, and he's already getting like the guy's got that much credibility built up with his audiences.
And lately, I've just been indulging myself. One of the people you probably worked with over the years, Greg Warren, out of St. Louis. I don't know if you
I know
crossed
the
paths
name.
with Greg.
Yeah.
He's got 2 longer specials on YouTube that I just enjoy the heck out of them. They're
good to
wonderful.
know.
And again, what I look for when I'm watching a comedian is not the jokes, really. It's the authenticity and the consistency. Is the person who talks to me at the beginning is the same person talking to me in the middle and at the end. Anybody can get up and just read jokes to an audience.
Yeah.
That's not what stand-up comedy is about. It's about revealing yourself and what you think is funny. And Greg does it extraordinarily well.
I've always, and it's coming back to me now talking to you, I've always loved your professorial takes on stand-up comedy. You're very good at just breaking it down, and I just love that, Bill. That's just great to hear again.
These days, I probably teach comedy more than I perform it. That's the truth.
All right. It's come to that time, and I appreciate your time, Bill. And check out Memories Ballroom tomorrow night, folks. A New Year's Eve show. Tim Wacko, Jimmy McHugh, Olivia Witt, and Bill Gorgo, my guest right now, will be there tomorrow night. 4 headliners for the price of one. What better way to ring in the new year? Check out Memories Ballroom, I would say, and see if they have tickets, because it's going to be a great show.
You can always record Lou Ragani. I'm just saying. Listen when you get home. And say hi to Lou for me. He's a great guy.
Oh, he's fantastic. Love his show. Great. It's just talk about a throwback and so much fun. He was on my show months ago, and I got to have him back on.
Huge comedy fan.
Yeah, you're right. He is. Oh, that's so cool that you know Lou, Bill. All right, Bill. So before we let you get out of here, we've got about 30 seconds to a minute. New Year's resolution, my friend.
Same one it was last year. Make it to next New Year's. That's the whole. Keep it simple. At my age, that's a choice. And this is the first New Year's resolution I actually achieved in years. So I think I'm just going to do it over.
I think that's great. I love the simplicity, and I hope you make it too, Bill, because then you could be back on the show next year. Awesome.
Good seeing you, Pete.
You too, buddy. Knock him dead tomorrow.
Try it.
All right. That's Bill Gorgo. Check out Memories Ballroom tomorrow night. That is a fun show, folks. I know all those guys. I don't know Olivia Witt, but I've heard great things, and it's going to be a fantastic show. So if you're still making your plans, check it out. Conrad, do you have any more? You going to hone in? Are you going to specify anything regarding your resolution? I actually like Bill's a lot. That's a great one. Get through the year.
Yeah.
Be a lot. Even you don't have to be older to say that. Like, a lot of stuff can happen.
It's just going to be the same thing. It's just,
all right.
I'm
putting you on the spot. Yeah, this is your first night back in like a week, and here I am holding your feet to the fire. I know what you're going to do. You're going to check out John's website.
Oh, I'm going to comment on everything.
It's
saying
really cool.
This sucks.
No, you're going to love it. It's all like Wisconsin sports stuff. It's right up your alley. I would like to thank my guests, John Egan, Bill Gorgo. Thank you for all your texts about your New Year's resolutions. Hopefully you guys check out Lou Ragani tomorrow night on the network here. And then our Terry Bar special on New Year's Day, 2 hours of Bar Band Friday. And we will be back live with director Antonio Polk and Marcia Polk to talk about their film Angels in the Rye. This has been fun. A great way to... it's our Eve of New Year's Eve show.
It is.
That's kind of what we're doing. It's been fun. So we will be back Thursday night. I hope you have a great, safe holiday. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on behalf of Conrad, the lovable producer. This is Pete Schwaba. Good night, Wisconsin.